Hello, I wanted to go ahead and talk to you a little bit about the Derby Owners Club Frankenstein assembly again. So we've upgraded the process. This is Rev 2. It's a do-it-yourself kit. And we sell the kit with the power, the cables that you need fiber optic wise. It's really crazy. And two card readers. And then we modify the main unit. In this case, it's Derby Owners Club, to where it will work with only 2 players. So we're the only people that do this. And we have a new system built that I'm just dying to show you. So the way this works is you have to connect, there's a dock 3 slaves and then a dock master 1 slave power supply. And these are the original Sega power supplies. So if you receive your kit and these are in, here's how it works. So the power supply has 1 male, 2 females on it. Or 2 males, 1 female. Okay, that's how the power supply puts out the connectors. Now, in order to connect them, what you do is you take your connector, such as so. It's a male. It's going to go into the female receiving end. I'm going to shake the camera a little bit here so that we can see that. And it's a homemade video. It's all good. All right, so there it goes right into that. And then we have these standard Sega connectors, female, and then we have the female again into the male. And that's how it works. We'll connect it. Okay, we just completed our soft connection, as you can tell right here on the power supplies. And then the way this works is, this is called a universal harness, and I'll show you. So we built this harness, and this is one of the items that you get in your kit. So for example, what happens is you receive your harness and all of these buttons are undone. Look at this. So you have all these males. Well, no problem. You just plug it right in. Boom. Plug this in. Boom. Then you go down to the bottom. Look at that. There's a male. And this is the trick. Check this out. So you plug them in. It's just that simple. But guess what? There's something more, which is that this male connector is daisy chained to the male connector below it. Okay? So the trick is that even if you screw up the wiring, the harness will still take care of it and get the right power. But in order to get the right sequence, because you want to lay them up like this, close enough to the power supply, then this is what you do. So again, the connector is color-coded, and then it follows down a path and it connects to the bottom. So if you're having trouble getting your connectors, it's probably the sequence that you're connecting them in. And as you can see, they're quite easy to put in there and get going. So I did it here just in a matter of minutes on this video. It's really not a big deal. There we go. Okay. So everything's working fine now, and it looks like the next thing we have to do is hook up the JVS board. So the board comes in one piece. This handles the input-output from your buttons or your button panel, known in arcade gaming as the control panel. For terminology and nomenclature reasons, I say that. So it connects through a Sega USB. Now, we provide you with, if you did receive a JVS board, we give you the special USB cable. Now, this is not something you can buy at a PC shop. It actually it uses the same connectors, but it's different pinouts, so a standard PC cable won't work. We ship the one to you if you receive this board. If you receive the other board, it's pretty straightforward. You just plug the USB into it and you're good to go. Now, there is something called the game harness. So the game harness, pull this up here. Okay, this is Sega's way to talk back to the button panel, lights, or whatever special effects they may have in their game. So it's an input-output harness. So for those of you who are familiar with JAMA, this is a little bit different. It's way more functionality. It's cool. So what you can do with this harness is that it actually has multiple grounds to the buttons, and they will light up at a different time. And that's if your machine's lit with buttons. But throughout the history of Sega, whether you're playing Time Crisis or Derby Owners Club or something else, they're using this board. Same thing with Initial D. So what you do is you plug this in. It's keyed. As you can see, there's a notch right there. And then it goes into this area. See the key? So you turn it around, put it in. This is made just for the Derby Owners Club, remember. Goes in just fine, right? Okay, so that's how you hook up your button panel. Now, it takes power. And the power it uses the red and white cable slotted like so. Then it uses a white and yellow. So with Sega, they kind of have their own color scheme going. White is ground. That's the universal, okay? And the other colors can be found in the power supply if you just reverse engineer this diagram. And it tells you what 5 volt is, what 3 volts, where, and where 12 volt is. There's no negative 3 volt in this, or 5 volt, or whatever you may find. So this is the Sega Naomi 1s. And then the way they work is the slots face up on this one. So you can plug it into one of these two. Goes in like so. Let's see. And that is, let's see. Oh, yellow goes over here. I had that backwards. I apologize. So what you do is you turn the ridge where the slots, those are called slots, point up. Okay. Boom. It's on. Then I do the same thing with red and white. So let's see. I'm here in my workshop, which this is kind of cool. So I use a piece of plywood to actually build this before I put it into the cabinets. So what I'm doing is I'm building out the unit itself, making sure it works, checking it, trying to see, you know, do I have everything in the right place and is the power working? And so what I do is I connect everything once, and then I come back and turn it on, make sure it works, and then I move it into the cabinets. You can buy them on Craigslist, a cabinet for like $125. Or we have special custom cocktail cabinets I'll cover in another video, which are built specifically for Derby Owners Club. And then if you're a do-it-yourselfer, it's even better because you can run more games than just Derby in these things. Super cool. We'll see it later. All right, so let's go through the COM board. COM board has its own link-ups. And again, this machine system is built to where it has two sides. One is left, it's labeled 3 slaves on the power supply. This one is labeled master and 1 slave. You must run it like this. If you don't, the power will not work. You'll have a lot of problems. And this just distributes the load based on the power supplies that go over to the AC transformer, that double barrel looking thing over there. So we'll go ahead and trace how to hook up the next piece, which is, so this has a nice little connector. Some do, some don't. Plugs onto the board like so. It's the COM board for the card reader. Here is the cable that goes around the back and goes into the side. That's the card reader. So then they have another cable that comes out of there, and you got to get power to the card reader. So how do you do that? Well, guess what? That's what this line and this line coming out of the back. You trace them back, and they go right here into the conglomeration of wires known as the wiring harness. So that's how you get the card reader hooked up. It's pretty much the same on both sides. The wiring that I just showed, you can trace it and you can pull it in. There may be a few extra wires on this one because on this one it actually supports the 2-in-1 video card. And it does that through a very nice harness, which we've built. And this harness plugs in over on the 2-in-1 video card, which is here. Okay? Left, right, output. That's the pins. Then I want to insert this plug into this area. Okay? So I'll go ahead and show how easy that is. It's just a snapper. That's a standard little PC plug. It's kind of a Molex connector, not hard to find. And as you can tell, the teeth are on this side. I have feet on everything. Feet is available. So we've added feet on this item. One thing you can do with this is you can put screws onto your plywood and lock it in place and make a really nice layout. Same thing here is that we've got some screws right here I wanted to show you. So if you notice, it's just a straight through, screws about that big, nothing to it. You put it in, screw it into the plywood, stays there just fine. Same thing on the COM board over here. It got feet, just like we had feet on this COM board. Okay, there we go. Now, one of the things about the card reader, oh, I almost forgot. Sorry to back up on you. Right here, this is really important. Look where it plugs in. When you look at the Naomi 1, under the service and test buttons, goes right on the second slot. It's right in this gap. So notice how the ridge right here is up. Black wire to the left, red wire to the right. And it will slide right on there. Be very gentle when you connect it. This wire connects back over to your COM board, and that's how the card reader is talked to by the Sega Naomi 1. Super cool little design, very compact by Sega. Something to keep in mind. If you want to clean these out, use denatured alcohol, which is also known as lighter fluid. So it will clean it very good. Make absolutely sure not to touch the head. That'll be the demise of your existence with Derby, believe me. And then you'll have to send it in for repair. And it will be expensive. So this one's been cleaned up pretty good. I really like it. This is actually my personal machine card reader. I tore it down a few months ago, and then I had it in the bin. And I thought, well, it'd be nice to get something that's never seen commercial use, which is the machine that I had for my garage. So this is cool. This is how you load the cards. Load them according to the diagram. So you open up the back. There it is. You slide them in according to the diagram. Nothing to it. You close it back up. You're good to go. Okay, so what you're going to receive with your do-it-yourself kit is one of these. And this is a service and test and check select. So these are mentioned in the manuals. It was originally built, and it has a volume control button, which we don't use. But it's there if you want to hook up your own. So it's cool. It's a potentiometer on the back, and so this is the back of the button panel. It's a very simple circuit that connects, and so let's just cover that so that you know which pin is there in case it's not connected when you get it. So here you go. This would be inside the machine, and if you want to get into the configuration of the satellite itself, that's what this is intended for. Okay? And the way this connects is through the wiring harness. Let's cover that. These things are extremely hard to find. Alright, so it connects through this wiring harness. Take a look at the colors. Okay, see the grounds, the whites. Now we spin it around. More good color. Guess what? Oh, there it is. There's the wiring harness. I dropped it. So, there's the wiring harness. What it does is it plugs into here. Okay? So now you see how the actual harness connects into that panel. And then this is the wiring harness that connects all the way down into the game, to the button panel. Kind of a cool setup, okay? Now, I use something that a lot of people don't use. It's a VGA to HDMI converter. And what I do is I plug the sound. This is key. With the do-it-yourself kit, after I make the modifications, you really need to use just one plug for sound. Don't plug anything else in. Only this with a standard RCA. Now I use gold connectors for extra sound. Now in the beginning when Sega released these machines, what ended up happening was that they were so loud in the game room that they had to turn them down. And it would literally draw people over to it. So, you know, those amplifiers, they shipped 2 amplifiers with the main unit on top of an amplifier in each machine. So it was a really loud noisemaker. As a matter of fact, it was the loudest game in the arcades that I ever found. It can reach pretty high decibels. So what I do differently is I connect this 2-in-1 video card over to an HDMI box. And check this out. So this is an HDMI converter, right? And then I plug the sound into that side of the cable we just saw. And I plug the video cable in. And then on the back, what it does, everything runs on HDMI. So then I have my TV. And you've seen this in other videos as well. So my nice little jukebox in the corner. Thank heavens for that. And then I have extra main units if you're looking for them. So just inquire within. And that's for the Derby game, not the Ferrari series, but I have had those in the past. All right, and then we've got some extra parts here in the back. I'm building an 8-seater for someone in Pennsylvania right now. So I'm going to connect these after I connect all the 4 seats, or the 2 seats. So they want all of these plus extra kits. Now, something to mention, we do have upgrades available. Usually a satellite used to cost $1,000 plus shipping. Ours is much more economical in the kits, so just feel free to inquire within, and we can go ahead and hook you up. So if you buy a 2-player and you want to go to a 4, You're going to need extra pieces and kits, and then we'll have to modify it for you. If you buy 4, you want to go to a 5, 6, 7, or 8 seater, we can do that as well. We have kits, we have parts, and we can hook you up. So hopefully that sort of shows how things go together. I think the only thing left over here is how the master and slave fit. I just noticed we didn't talk about that, but it's very simple, right? The males, plug them in up there. Now this is different. The main unit, the slot is on the bottom. So if you need to wear eyeglasses when you put this together, feel free. It's not exactly easy all the time. All right, so, and then the difference up here is the slots on the top, right? So there you go. Now also, this is the unit that's connected to the card reader, so plug your monitor into this guy. Now never, ever, ever plug anything in, whether it's sound or video or power, while the system is turned on. It will break something. If you send it back in for repair, it's blatantly obvious to us what happened, and you won't be covered. So it'll be an issue that you'll have to pay for. And typically buying a brand new one, if you can find it, is a cheaper way to go rather than paying for the repair. Oh, one last thing. Let's see. We covered the power, covered the videos, right? Main unit to the 2-in-1. Now, this is actually my favorite. Now, for the first time ever, I was showing my friend over at Moto Glass how to hook this up last night, and it worked the first time. Now, I've never hooked up the wiring right the first time, but I'm going to show it to you. Here is the fiber optic cable. You need several of these. They're about $67 a piece from Sega or Hap Controls. So we do sell them cheaper. We wholesale them. And so let us know if we can help you. What you do, you plug these that are keyed again. That flat side goes to you, faces us right here, okay? And then I take it, slide it in, and it's in. There it is. So now, that's the dark side. The light side is going to be on the left. So the way you hook it up is you daisy chain this, starting with the main unit. Here are the main unit connectors. Lit side, take the lit side, run it over to the first unit. Go to the dark side on the right. Plug in another cable, go to the light. Go over to the dark side, which we just hooked up. Take another cable, plug it in the light. Plug it down into the dark on the right. Take another cable, plug it into the light. Run it back over to the top unit on the Master 1 slave and plug into the light, dark, and then what happens is these, you'll understand the connection, go back into the remaining slot on the master. And that will suffice for hooking up your entire do-it-yourself kit with Derby Owners Club. So you will receive one of these if they are in stock, so they're free. But and I give them away because some people like them. If you don't know what service and test is, download the manuals. And service and test, Sega never actually put this in their manuals, but it's in every machine. They're included on here. This is service and test, these little dip buttons. They're momentary buttons. And then I've had questions on the dip switches. Keep them all down. The last switch on the right controls the kilohertz of the monitor. So if you're using tube monitors, well, good for you. They don't make them anymore, but some people like to have that authentic experience, but there's other ways to be authentic. And so that's pretty much how this all works. I hope this has been beneficial to you. If you're watching and you don't have a DOC game, the setup is similar to Initial D. So you have the COM board, the card readers. These card readers, I have a ton of them in stock, so hit me up if you need them for Initial D. It's really cool. So there you go. In a nutshell, this is how it works. Button panels, 2-in-1 video cards, main units, 4 slaves, JVS cards, COM boards, card readers, card holders, and of course an AC transformer. We highly recommend that you buy your own kit. And as usual, always ground any metal pieces such as a transformer or main unit, as we have shown here with these cables, right? So each one, even around the back, this is connected and ground, this is grounded, and so is the other power. You can see the cable. Gotta ground those, okay? If you don't, folks, you know what? You're looking for trouble. You're looking for repair bills, and you'll probably keep breaking it until you run out of money. Anyway, so signing off, this is ATX Stables. Rock out.